Evil men could never resist taking advantage of the righteous men. They couldn't. And they saw they were passive. They thought, you know what, they're cowards. And you know what, I can mind F this group of guys to go out there and bully them around, you know. Thank God I live in America where law enforcement is intelligent. And from what I've seen, I watch a lot of these cop shows, real life stuff, sheriffs of El Dorado. These are nice guys, man. Sometimes I think I should have been a sheriff. Why not? I don't like violence. I mean, it'd be hard for me, but, you know, I like Sheriff Richard Mack. I think he's out of a station in Arizona. He said in his entire career as a sheriff, he never once pulled his gun. I like these guys. And I think if we had peace on earth and an end to crime tomorrow, these guys would be happy as hell to find something else to do with their time. That's what I think about law enforcement now. I'm lucky to live in America because it's sure as heck isn't like that down in Mexico, is it? From what I heard, it's not good. I mean, Americans can't even buy property. I think the last time I heard, you can't buy land there. But here, I remember being trained as a real estate agent here in California. You couldn't even ask the status. And you found out they were illegally here, you had to, by law. It was against California real estate law to put any barriers in their way. Of course, buy as much as you want. Cash, no problem. I don't know if that's changed because I got my license in 2006. But, you know, law enforcement down there, I mean, I've had firsthand experience. I remember back when I was probably still a teenager, I guess, going down. I was in Ensenada, and everybody was at Who Song's bar. I guess it's still a popular place. I think I talked to a daughter that had been down there. But, you know, it was a popular place. I was down there with some friends, I remember, and I went into this little alleyway to take. It was like an outdoor mall, but it was pitch black. I mean, there was planters in there, and there was nobody around. And apparently, you know, it was like a perfect place to pee. It was just what it was, private and everything. So I went in there to take a leak in the planter, and out of nowhere, this federale comes, and I was scared stiff. I mean, what the hell? I mean, out of nowhere, the guy, it was like a, you know, comparable to a speed trap that people complain about. You tricked me. And that's what it was. But, you know, I didn't even have much money, a couple of bucks, and so I had to ask my friends, and, you know, I asked them how much, and, you know, he's like 15, I think it was 15 bucks, which was probably quite a bit of money back then. And, you know, but he let me go, but yeah, I did have a friend that landed up in a Mexican jail, and his description, and I listened to it in detail because he was a good friend, so I listened to every little horrible detail of his story, but it was brutal. You saw a guy brutalized, and I mean, it was, you know, guys trying to have their way with each other. It was messed up stuff, man, in a Mexican prison down there, or jail, whatever. But yeah, so, you know, we're lucky to have American law enforcement. They're good, man. Americans, see, this is why we, you know, have been known as, you know, exceptionalists as Americans. I mean, it's the American spirit. Yeah, let's remember our roots. Let's remember our foundations as Americans. They're good. They're wholesome. Protestant. Look up Protestant. We're the original. That's probably where the word originated. Protester. The original protesters. The dissenters. Okay, we got the hell out of places like England and Ireland a long time ago. Most of, you know, our founders, and, you know, places like France. I know a lot of them. Hey, that whole area, Europe. Okay, we were saying, you know what? That's it, man. We don't want to be bossed around by the Roman Catholic authoritarians, and we don't want to be bossed around by a bunch of pissant a-holes. I mean, you know, we could, apparently our ancestors could read the writing on the wall better, and they saw a guy like Hitler coming. You know, a lot of Americans go way back. I know my ancestors do. My grandpa, according to my dad, he was all Indian. I don't think he really liked everybody to know that. I mean, he looked Indian. He had a big nose, like who's that Durante guy, the guy with the big nose that was an actor, comedian so long ago. But you know, he wasn't a big man. He was an average-sized guy like me. And but my dad, he was built after my granddad's dad. My great-grandpa was a big guy. He actually won a refrigerator lifting contest of all things. It was somewhere in Canada. So I've got roots that go back. My last name being Credit, there is a port south of Toronto, Canada. You look it up at Port Credit, and it's right adjacent and kind of the same district as this Mississauga, and that's the tribe I was purportedly came from. And originally the name was Palaquin, which I sometimes I think I'd like to change my name because that sounds pretty cool, but it was shortened to Credit. It used to be Palaquin du Credit, so there's some French in there somewhere, and I shouldn't be ashamed of that. I mean, the French people are a very diverse individual lot. The last name Credit, we know that's got French origins. And credit should be a good word, but we've turned it into mud, okay, because of people being put in debt, I mean, in a predatory manner. And that's what's reflected in our economy. It's very predatory. And I really like to point to people to who to blame. Don't blame people in your local communities for the artificial problems. And it is socioeconomic stuff. And this is what drives us to be spiritually and psychologically sick and socially sick a lot of the time. We're not right, okay? You know why? Because we have an instinct, a drive to be happy. One of the most founding principles of our ideals as Americans, okay, this idea of being free. Do you understand how big that is? It's huge. If you make a laundry list of things required for you to be happy, okay, you want all those organic problems fixed. You got to lay that at God's feet and understand He promised that's coming. That's the promise to the righteous. Look, it's coming. An end to death. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. If God can end death, then He can remove the thorns off the roses, okay, and everything else that's negative organically. Do you understand? Everything else that's negative organically. This is called the renewal of all things. Look up that term. It's the teachings of Christ. What He's promising the righteous. This is the reward you're going to get. Okay, if you're on the right side of history, the big history, the one that's unprecedented in all of human history. That's it. Exponentially so. We're talking about a sea change of biblical proportions. Mind-blowing. Everybody's mind blown. Like Daniel talks about. I mean, and Christ talked about every eye shall see what's going to happen here. Every knee shall bow. There's even going to be all these people that prescribe to the rapture theory. They're just pointing to a passage in scriptures. No, that word's not in there. But the word taken away at the twinkling of an eye would be changed. So the mortal body meets the immortal. You're never even going to taste the first death. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be a generation living on earth that's going to be alive at the return of Christ. I want to be there. I want to live forever, not in this crap hole that Satan worshipers have invented out of their evil genius in their hearts. I mean, this blows, man. We're in trouble, and these people have us by the throat. It's a freaking juggernaut of pure evil. We're being led around by satanic freaks. These are genocidal, maniacal monsters. Okay, I mean, there is not enough pejorative adjectives to explain who these people are. I mean, if you just want to use polite terms, these are some bad freaking actors. They're mean people. They're not nice. They don't have your best interest at heart. They don't care about you. They're sick puppies, sick individuals, sick freaks. That who is running us around by the nose. They create the policies we're all forced to live under from birth. Okay? And the money is a huge part of this. It is actually likened to a false god. This is the teachings of Christ. You can't serve two masters. It's a master. It takes us over. It possesses us. Our love of money is powerful, my friends. People murder for it. Do you understand? Does it get more severe, more acute, more serious, more dire than that? Murder each other. People murder children for money. You think God isn't angry? What are we allowing? I mean, even those that aren't engaged, well, I would never do that for any amount of money, what those people did. So I divorced myself, I separate. No, you can't do that. Those are living human beings made in the image and likeness of God. You've got to see them as yourself. That's what God wants you to do. So the most evil and vile of men out there in the world Our job is not to condemn them. Yes, warn them under no uncertain terms that the question, the issue, the subject of whether of God's will being accomplished upon earth is not a question of if, it's a question of when God's will is going to be accomplished on earth. The good guys are going to win this thing. That's it. The only reason the evildoers have power and control over the good men, the righteous people out there, I'm talking Democrats and Republicans. I'm talking conservatives and liberals. I'm talking socialists and capitalists. All of you good people, okay, is because these people are manipulating us. Okay, and they don't value their conscience like you and I do. We have boundaries, God-given boundaries, whether you recognize that fact or not. You have an instinct you won't do. Think of all the things you won't do for any amount of money. Cherish those things. Thank God for those things. But those people that are running our lives don't have those boundaries. They don't value the conscience. And that's why they're running the show. That's why they're running. Do you understand? We're talking in the halls of Congress and the Senate and the executive branch. Historically, these are the people that have needed to be on the side of the evildoers. We're talking about those in charge of the issuance of our currency, our money supply, those people. And then I figured out that they had to have the Labor Department in their pockets too. Why did they have to have the Labor Department in their pockets? Because it goes back to ancient slavery. It's all about enslaving people, taking advantage over them, having one up on them. Do you understand? Being separate, being a privileged class versus the lower class, right? Caste system, feudalism, call it what you want. It's the same old story, but this time they've done it scientifically. They've used algorithms. They know they want to keep pushing the envelope in perpetuity. And somehow they, got to keep continually updating that and pull rabbits out of the hat, see how hard and how fast they can push without rocking the boat. They don't want to tip over the boat, okay? But they're trying to rock it continually in their direction and keep that division between the haves and have-nots growing, that wealth imbalance, that wealth disparity. Keep it growing and keep the poverty, keep people accepting ever-growing poverty. Right under their noses, we're telling them, you're bad, you're un-American if you don't want every destitute immigrant in the world to come here. But it's okay that we allow people to live in squalor in tent cities in Los Angeles and the native-born American sons and daughters. This is okay. And now in L.A., they're doing something really nice for the homeless. The mayor says they're giving them storage sheds. They're going to live in storage sheds. They're going to need public, toilets and, outhouses, I guess, all over. And this is how we treat us. But I don't see the immigrants coming here and being homeless. You see, I'm scratching my head, but then I remember one time I was curious when I was studying real estate, and I wanted to know what the application was over at the Housing Authority. So I went down and visited the Housing Authority in Santa Cruz County, and I got it. And very clearly you can see that there's favoritism. It's affirmative action. It's just, it's business that they got to give preference to farm workers. Do you understand? So if you mark that and say, that's it. These guys all know. They're on the inside, so they get the word out. And you mark that. Yes, check that box. I'm a farm worker. So initially they go and they get a job in a farm. They facilitate it. Probably the housing authority can, arrange that. You see how this thing works? Okay, so I'm just saying, let's fix our problems. I'm not a xenophobe. I say let's tear down the wall, Trump. Tear it down once we fix our own problems. We allow everybody to come in. That's it. You want to come to America? I like you. You like American ideals? I admire you too. Come on to America. Come on, be a good American. Be a patriotic American. And just cherish our values and our ideals like I do. We are an exceptional people. And people all over the world look to us for an example. And we've dropped the ball hard and heavy, man. Okay, we're the most influential nation on earth. Everybody knows that. Okay, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. I've got a good Palestinian friend. He made me ashamed when he started. On one hand, the guy is defending America when I'm trying to give a constructive criticism. Yeah, I'm a dissenter. I'm the most patriotic guy you'll ever freaking meet. My dad fought in the Second World War. He didn't see active battle, but as a teenager, he put his life on the line in the Marine Corps on the battleship Iowa. Told me about how he used to practice fire the 50 cal guns on the deck. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I use this word very rarely, but I'm proud of my dad. I like to think I would have done the same thing, and I did. In 2001, 9/11, I tried to join the Army National Guard. I thought, hell, if America's under attack, I'm going. But I was 43, and they told me I was too old. So yeah, prime of my life, never been stronger before, but whatever, you know. And